Fallout 3's biggest myth involves 3-dog, celebrity deaths, and the possibility that Bethesda knew how to predict the future. But how exactly? Let's see if we can prove the myth once and for all. I'm Mark from Digital Dissection. I make Fallout lore videos, and today I'll be your guide to finding Fallout 3's number station. You might be familiar with Creeypasta, or you might not. Long story short, they're fictional posts that many of us older folk on the internet have known quite well since 2001. One of the earliest known examples was Ted the Caver, a fake blog presented as the detailed retelling of a caver's experiences in the Interstate Cave in Utah. The author of the story explored elements of the supernatural, initially told as a harmless spelunking interest, but dramatically it shifted to intrigue that touches the realms of horror and mystery. Naturally, Creeypasta would evolve over time, giving us the now legendary Slenderman mythos in 2009, which not only stormed the entire internet, but received so much widespread media coverage that it led to extensive fan artwork, movies, and video games. In the early 2000s and 2010s, Creeypasta enabled the creativity and believability of possible unknown folklore being introduced over the internet. After all, it's not like you can understand the reaches of all that the world can offer without someone else's help. And we often tell stories to each other as societies to bridge these gaps anyway. Well, between Ted the Caver and Slenderman sits a story in 2008 that just happened to spawn from the massive hit known as Fallout 3. It's a story we've covered a few times on this channel in different ways. But the Fallout number station story exists nearly as long as the game itself, spreading like wildfire much in the same way as so many other creepypasta have. As someone new picks up the tale, shares it with another, and begins asking more questions. The Fallout number station and its age now have mysterious origins hard to identify. Yet so many now even still question its validity. Whether or not you should believe it is a question I'll answer for you today. So what exactly is a number station? Well, they're commonly known as mysterious shortwave radio stations which contain formatted numbers. And these numbers can be translated to contain words or phrases. Stations like these have been reported at least since the beginning of World War I. They served as a means for intelligence officers to communicate in foreign countries. Many examples of number stations transmitted their messages either via spoken word or through Morse code. And they were particularly abundant during the Cold War, observable across many areas of Europe and the United States. Foreign governments have even declassified known information about them, with examples existing in Germany, Sweden, and even espionage between the United States and Cuba as recent as 2001. What gives an underlying creepiness factor to number stations is that without a decoder or known key to the messages themselves, we don't quite have a surefire way of knowing what they say to us. Not to mention, listening to them just sounds creepy when you don't know the context of what possible messages you're overhearing that weren't meant for you.
0096 2251 2110.
It's not just me, right? This stuff is weird, isn't it? Naturally, it would seem that number stations should rightfully fit within the Fallout universe, as Chinese spies can be found across Fallout 3 in various different forms. You can discover remnants of the pre-war spy network that still exist in the Capital Wasteland. There are also numerous mysterious radio stations that will pop up on your Pip-Boy while traveling the map at various different spots. Beginning sometime around Fallout 3's release in 2008 or early 2009, rumors began spreading that not only did a number station appear in the game, but that a unique radio station will appear once certain events impact its landscape. The original Creeypasta post that began circling online web forums details a player who ended up killing radio DJ 3-Dog of Galaxy News Radio, who when removed from the game will be replaced with this far less charismatic technician named Margaret.
This is Margaret again with another fun-tabulous round of ancient music. 3-Dog's dead, and that's all I've got.
It was here that the story began about a strange broadcast that would send bizarre coded messages, much like the ones we've mentioned in international espionage. From here, this is where the story gets a lot stranger. The myth of a Fallout number station is just the tip of the iceberg in this story, as it's not only reliant upon the previously mentioned 3-Dog's death, but also to skip his entire Galaxy News Radio quest, and have advanced far enough into Fallout 3's story to cause the destruction of the Enclave's Raven Rock facility. Once completed, players will supposedly lose the GNR radio signal many are familiar with, and instead gain a new one, only able to be accessed from high-altitude areas of the Capital Wasteland map. This includes locations like Raven Rock itself, but also the top of the Ferris wheel in Point Lookout, the SATCOM arrays in the northwestern capital area, and the roof of Tenpenny Tower as a few examples. This is supposedly due to the fact that the Galaxy News Radio quest is designed to boost the GNR's broadcast range, and without having done so, the high-altitude locations can actually catch this new station. I should note, Tenpenny Tower is still within range of the GNR's original broadcast, but once again, we're just following along with the story here. Upon picking up the new radio signal, 3Dog will suddenly begin speaking on this new radio station despite his death. But he'll noticeably not be in character like voice actor Eric Todd Dellums has portrayed in any of the previously witnessed voice recordings. He'll read in a monotone voice, reciting single digits between 9 and 12 characters long, never quoting multi-digit numbers. The spoken pieces will be accompanied by different lengths of Morse code, and then play the feature song, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire by the Ink Spots. The Creepypasta goes on to detail numerous dates decoded by players deciphering the Morse code, and their included messages mention some relatively mundane details, like an individual's dinner plans, and a new YouTube video an unknown character uploaded. But then the messages begin to lean into far more serious events. Some examples include a reference to the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill of 2010, which wouldn't occur for another 2 years. The messages would also reference the death of Queen Elizabeth II on March 19, 2014, Britney Spears winning an Academy Award dated February 27, 2023, as well as historical events including Abraham Lincoln's assassination, which according to the messages was an apparent cover-up. Additional details would include the death of Gary Coleman, who also had not passed away by the time Fallout 3 came out. The decoded messages arrived alongside a series of dates tied to several events, like the September 11, 2001 attacks, but also many other unknown ones. Needless to say, these events and their ability to appear in a game that debuted in 2008 shocked those who read the Number Station story. The creepypasta itself would explode in popularity after Fallout 3's debut, and the myth would only continue to grow in the years since. The eerie sense of things was that Gary Coleman, of course, would pass away on May 28, 2010, albeit on a date the creepypasta got correct. And Queen Elizabeth II, of course, would also pass away, but her death was also incorrect by 8 years, instead occurring on September 8, 2022. It still remains to be seen if Britney Spears will win an Academy Award, so I guess we can't entirely rule that one out yet, except that it didn't happen in 2023. So the Fallout 3 Number Station naturally has a pretty compelling story, which like many great works of fiction, could mean that it has a complete dead end. But it is a story we can follow the potential breadcrumbs of what the creepypasta itself actually details. After all, that's kind of what I promised you in the beginning. So what we'll need to do is the following. Take out 3Dog and allow for his technician Margaret to take over. In doing so, we'll also end up skipping the Galaxy News Radio quest. Will then cause the destruction of Raven Rock, hereby triggering the supposed beginning of the Number Station ability to appear. From this point, we'll travel to several of the locations mentioned in the original creepypasta. This includes several of the highest points within SATCOM arrays in the Capital Wasteland. We'll then head to Tenpenny Tower, Erifu, and the mountaintops of Raven Rock, and finally, the top of the Ferris wheel in Point Lookout. So while I don't want to do this, unfortunately, we have to take out 3Dog. I do feel kind of bad about it. We did interview his voice actor Eric Todd Dellums a few years ago, and he's great. It's nothing personal, just business. For those of you that don't want to watch an additional 3 to 4 hours of gameplay so that I can bring about the destruction of Raven Rock, you're in luck. I've spared you that exact thing. The sad news, though, is that despite following the creepypasta's exact instructions, the destruction of Raven Rock achieved absolutely nothing, as the radio signal didn't appear for us at this part in the story, and the arbitrary circumstances for what we needed to do either didn't work at all, or were never meant to. So immediately, Raven Rock, despite being part of the locations that could theoretically pick up the signal, Being on top of the location itself isn't giving the myth any confirmation. Scanning for the radio station here unearths literally nothing new. Regardless, let's make our way to the other locations the original creepypasta mentioned, and let's see if we can pick up anything on our Pip-Boy while we're there. In our pursuit of trying to find secret radio signals, let's tackle 3 of them that the creepypasta mentions right away. This includes SATCOM arrays NN-03D, NW-07C, and NW-05A. Each satellite array has its own set of challenges to reach, but the view from the top of each is still somewhat peaceful given the quiet nature of being this high up in the Capital Wasteland. Checking our Pip-Boy while up here, however, reinforces what we've already discovered, that each location doesn't offer any additional secret radio stations for us to tap into, despite the legend stating that it should be possible from here. Regardless of this fact, we'll still keep moving on. Next, we'll make our way over to Tenpenny Tower, which, while the upper balcony should be more than high enough for us to technically grab a signal, we'll use console commands to take us up just a little bit further up to be safe. Unfortunately, even with the higher spot on the tower, we're faced with the same outcome, as regardless of height, and technically closer to GNR within its normal range, there seems to be no indication that the number station ever has, or will, reach this spot either. The journey here isn't completely lost, however, as saying goodbye to Alistair Tenpenny is always fun, and throwing him over the balcony is a must. Seriously, he's just not a good person. Before leaving the Capital Wasteland, we'll make our way over to the settlement built above a former highway system known as Erifu. This part of the myth always seemed a bit odd to me, as Erifu isn't necessarily higher up than any of the previous spots we looked at so far. But sticking to the creepypasta's known information, we'll get as high up as we can on the buildings that do exist here. But similar to the others, there's just nothing here to report, other than some people being 86'd in one of its houses and possibly vampires nearby. Sadly, no number station to be found here. Finally, making our way to Point Lookout, we'll pay one last visit to the top of its Ferris wheel, which, while it's incredibly far away from Galaxy News Radio, may yet hold the key to this mystery brewing since 2008. Unfortunately, for those of you who want this legend to possibly bear fruit, it would seem that any secret radio station's possible of sending secret messages appears to be completely false, as nothing appears in any of the spots indicated by the creepypasta's details. It saddens me to say that despite the best efforts of online forums and new fans claiming the Fallout 3 number station exists every day, the evidence just doesn't point towards there being any credence to the tale of it being true at all. Many have held enthusiasm for the supposed number station being real, even tacking additional concepts onto the list of locations and requirements needed to trigger the secret, but none of them have ever led to any actual developments showing that the hidden messages are indeed true. And by the nature of most creepypasta, details tend to get added to them over time anyway. Fans of the game have even gone so far as to dig into the game's code, exploring the in-game GEC resource to access Fallout 3's data and files. But once again, they've found nothing to show, and this includes any audio samples recorded for 3Dog to support the claims of the number station myth. Why this is important is that many discarded pieces of the game exist. This includes unused quests, weapons, and audio files for other unrealized character conversations and location markers, meaning that if something should exist that Bethesda intended for players to find, it either was never included with the game released to the market, or it never happened. What's creepy enough on its own, however, is that number stations are very real concepts in our world, and many still exist across the planet even today. Spies are also incredibly prevalent across the Fallout landscape, as hidden radios can be found in several uniquely hidden locales. So it's not that the Fallout world can't support such a concept, it just wasn't true in the case of what the original story wanted us to think. Still though, this story, despite its lack of evidence, remains incredibly compelling, and will likely continue to captivate new people first stumbling on the property, as it has now for many years. Thank you for watching as we explored the Fallout 3 number station, and if it actually does exist. Did we miss any details about the myth that you remember? Let us know in the comments. For more content just like this video, you'll find my Fallout Exploring the Wasteland playlist linked here, where I keep all videos from this collection. As always, thank you so much for watching this series, and any engagement is greatly appreciated. It helps me to know you like the content I'm making, and where I should go next. Until next time, Wastelanders, keep on dissecting. Thank you for joining me. This is Mark signing off.
0096 2251 2110